Okay, now let's do another example, and this is going to involve one-sided limits. So how do we handle one-sided limits? What if we're doing a limit from the left or a limit from the right? How do we deal with those? Very similar to the way we deal with just limits, except one part is that you, again, remember the open interval has to be on the side that we're coming from, okay? So in other words, if we're doing a limit from the left, we want to make sure that the function is defined at all values to the left of the limit, the given a value, right? And again, if it's a limit from the right, we want to make sure that for any open interval that's to the right of that value, right, the function is defined on, okay? So if we're dealing with left, right, from the left, we want to make sure we choose that the function is defined on an open interval of, let's call it B to A, right, where we're approaching A from the left. So any open interval where we're approaching A from the left, the function must be defined on. And likewise from the right, we want to have an open interval where we have something like this, where we're approaching A from the right. So the function must be defined at any open interval like this. Okay, and so that's what we're looking at. As long as that's true, then we're good. Okay, so let's look at this example here. So here we want to find the limit as x approaches 3 from the left of this function. Okay, so the first thing we need to make sure is it's defined on any open interval. Excuse me. From the left. So, is it? Well, if we approach 3 from the left, that means we're going to be slightly bigger than 3. Right? So from the negative side, or excuse me, I'm sorry, we're going to be less than 3. Right? So if we approach from the left, we're going to be putting numbers in that are slightly less than 3. Well, if we put in numbers that are slightly less than 3 for x, we're going to be subtracting a bigger number from something that's slightly smaller than 3, right? And so we're going to get a negative number. So that means this is undefined, right? Because you cannot put negative numbers under the radical, okay? So because you can't do that, since this is not defined for values that are less than 3, the limit does not exist. Okay, now, the good news is if we have this limit and we're coming from the right, we're good. Because now then we're dealing with numbers that are slightly bigger than 3. And of course, when we're to have numbers that are bigger than 3 and we're subtracting off 3, we get a positive number and we are good. Okay? In fact, we can put 3 in here too, and we're good too. It's defined at 0. So now we can use the limit laws here for this one, and we could just proceed as usual, right? So this would equal the square root of 3 minus 3, which is going to give us a limit from the right of 0. And that's it. So there's the difference between the two, right? So it all depends on making sure that the function is defined on the appropriate open interval. Okay? Have a great day.